Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Chase. Today's special guest, Ireland international winger, Andrew Conway. Andrew and I have a cool relationship. My second game ever with the USA was against Ireland, and I faced up against Andrew. From there, we connected, we stayed in touch, and I just absolutely love his mission, who he is as a person, his mindset around rugby, high performance, family. Everything about the guy is incredible. And today we're going to hear a little bit more about his journey, his story, and behind the scenes into what it takes to be a professional and international rugby player. Stay tuned. I used to always compare myself to other people, and I'd set these benchmarks for myself, as in, I want to be the best player on my team, or I want to score the most tries, those sorts of metrics. But then I realized half the time those are subjective, and whoever you ask, it could be me, it could be somebody else. It doesn't really matter. So then I changed my outlook on it. Can I just be the best Christian Dyer I can be? And can I do the little things every day? Because when this is all said and done, if I can look back on and be proud of the effort that I put in, that's a win for me now. And it's just taken so much stress and pressure off of myself to look at these numbers and intangibles.
Yeah. And I'm with you 100% on, like, I call those affirmations that you were saying, I will, be the top try scorer. I will, be the best player. I love them. And I love them, but it's very specific. So, and it'd be interesting. We can chat probably, off camera on this a bit more and get your thoughts on it. But a big one for me going into the Rugby World Cup in 2019 was, and it came to me, within, like I do a bit of meditating on, and you're always trying to figure out, like, you don't want to do them just for the sake of doing something like that, because then you're wasting your own time. Yeah. But I will start at the Rugby World Cup was just something that made sense to me, because it meant that I originally was going to go with, I will go to the Rugby World Cup, but I thought that then that was selling myself short, that, just getting there is a win, is like that doesn't sit right with me. Yep. Then I was like, I'll be the best player at the Rugby World Cup. And I was like, that also doesn't make sense to me, because that's subjective. There's going to be multiple opinions on that. Each person's going to have someone different. If you're doing really well, you're going to have a few people thinking that, but again, didn't sit right with me. So I settled on I will start the Rugby World Cup. And that felt right to me, because it meant that I will be there. It also meant whenever I get the opportunity to play, because I'm there, I will star, and that's, also slightly subjective, but less subjective than be the best player. And it felt right, excuse me. And I wrote that down 10 times a night, every night of preseason, every training night. And what it made me do was, as much as it made me kind of, believe that I would, it also made me accountable to what would someone who will start the World Cup do on a daily basis, from getting up in the morning, starting my day right throughout the day, train as hard as I can, recovering to the exact level that I know is possible, going to bed at the right times, and then last thing before I was going to bed, write that down. And, because it's the last thing before you go to bed, I'll have a complete the last 12 hours or whatever it is of what I've just done. So if I was to write that down and just be bluffing, I wouldn't actually be able to write it down. I would have given it up, because I'd be like, oh no, I would have found a way to not do it. Yep. And then first thing in the morning, the alarm goes off, you're earlier than you need to get up, and you're like, no, not this morning. I had a great day. Yes, I'll leave it off. That conversation starts happening. And then you go, fuck, last thing I wrote down last night was I will start the World Cup, so up you get.
Absolutely. It's so true, because it's like when you start to envision the person that you want to become. And so for this chapter of your life, it's, I want to start in the Rugby World Cup. So you're thinking about that Andrew Conway in the World Cup, you're already envisioning it. Then your behaviors, your routine, your habits, it's almost as if they just start aligning to that.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
It's the little things that you got to do every day that gets you there.
Yeah, 100%. It's the little things. It's the little things repeatedly done. Turning up, like you said at the start of the conversation, just constantly turning up. It's not easy,
No, it's not.
I'm talking about a time where that was probably my peak of performance or preparation, which then led to peak of performance through the warm-ups into the World Cup. Again, I didn't get into the starting team for the World Cup quarterfinal against New Zealand. I probably should have, but that was out of my control. And then that continued on for the kind of first 6 months before we locked down, and my kind of performance levels were growing, match to match. And it's a tough standard to to stick with is the thing, you know, and I kind of look at, so I'm injured now for the last while. I kind of look at them as blessings in a way, because like, you know, I try and find the positive in, you know, situations like, you know, because people you meet in the street, I met someone there recently in the grocery store, and they're like, oh, it must be so bad when you're injured, you know, when you're a professional player, it just must be so bad. And like you can obviously take that on board and be like, oh yeah, it's shite, isn't it? Like I'm missing this and I'm missing this and I'm missing this, you know, and oh, why am I injured for this, you know, and like whatever, you know, you can find all of them. But if you just try and find like positives in it, you know, we just had a little kid who's 6 months old today. So like that's an easy one, obviously. That's the easiest one I can come up with. But you can even sometimes, you know, when I wasn't selected for Ireland matches, I'd be like, grand, that's fine, I'm not selected. That's actually good, because I can do more training, you know, I can do gym, and I can be on the pitch longer whenever I'm not playing, so I can work on my skills better. And then I can do something on Sunday because I'll be rested, you know. And I don't know where I figured that kind of flip of framing, you know, like I must have read it somewhere, or someone must have told me, you know, or you know, little bits and pieces along the way. But it just always made sense to me to, you know, like particularly in a professional context, you know, I'm not talking about like life here where, you know, tragedies happen and stuff. I'm talking about like as an athlete, you know, there's always something good that you can frame it always positively for yourself. And that's not being like, you know, spoofy, you know, everything's great, la da da. It just means that your mindset never, or it's harder for you to get down about stuff, because, you know, you get down about a non-selection or an injury, that can linger, and you know that can feed into other parts of not just your performance or your kind of professionalism, but also your life, you know.
Absolutely.
That's just not where you want to be going.
Wow, guys. I mean, I really, really enjoyed that conversation. And for me, it resonates so much with me because I'm a rugby player just like Andrew. And so there's so many similarities that I draw to. But I think that even though if you're not an athlete, you can still take so much away from that conversation, especially his piece on searching and seeking the positives, you know, with setbacks. Andrew's going through a knee rehab right now, but he's finding things that he can be grateful for. He's rooting his happiness, his joy in things outside of just the situation. And so many people in life are going through tough times because that's a part of life. But I think if you wake up each day with that outlook and that mindset and that intent to go find, you know, what is good in my situation, it'll change everything. And so that is what I'm so grateful to have, you know, Andrew share on his journey, because I think it can touch so many lives. And so, you know, stay involved with the show, stay involved with the chase. We're going to keep bringing on people like Andrew. We're going to share these incredible stories. We're also going to dive into how it's not always sunshine and rainbows, especially for the people that it may look like it. You know, that's the reality of it. And so we're going to bring on more people. Stay tuned, guys.